Hi, welcome to the lesson for Chapter 8, at least the first one. I want everyone to watch this first part of the lesson as we go over our worksheet, which is going to look different than what we've had the past couple of times. And then I will let you make a choice. Once we've gone over the worksheet together, then are you going to read the chapter on your own and complete these? Or are you going to watch the lessons with me while I go through and explain some of the concepts and things within the chapter? So first of all, let's take a look at that worksheet. This has been provided for you on Teams. This is what it looks like. So remember, you can fill in the heading at the top. Now, part one is a comprehension check, just like we have had since the beginning of reading our novel. In the beginning, I had put them just like this, where you had the questions and I had expected you to write ACE answers. We struggled with that, so I ended up creating a chart for you for chapters 5 and 7 so you could see an ACE answer is basically a paragraph. You are writing a lot of information. You need a topic sentence. You need at least 2 details. You need to explain those details. So that's one thing I want to remind you of here. So a difference is that I am requiring that you type your answers. You might as well do it right on this worksheet. Work on it right in Teams. So I'm asking that you type your answers underneath each question. Be sure to type ACE answers like we practiced with chapters 5 and 7, except that you don't have the graphic organizer now. So please make sure that you put your cursor below the question. I'd even encourage you to skip a line. Oh, if your number 2 shows up though, please backspace and get rid of that. And then you can start typing your answer underneath there. So this time you have 4 questions that go along with that. The questions: how does Cassie's behavior change towards Lily and Jean? Evaluate Cassie's behavior. You're making some kind of a judgment about why she's acting that way. Do you believe that Cassie should do something about Lily and Jean? Why or why not? When you answer this question, please base it on the beginning of the chapter instead of about halfway through. So I encourage you to do that in the beginning. Question 2, what is TJ's reaction when he gets caught cheating? And how was this foreshadowed, hinted at earlier in the chapter? So there's going to be a part in the beginning of the chapter that is going to let you know he's going to get caught cheating, which we already know based on the question. We probably could have predicted that he would get caught cheating based on things that happened in the book so far. But what specific line or incident leads us to believe, oh yeah, he's going to get caught? Question 3, how does Cassie get her revenge on Lily and Jean and keep her from telling anyone? So obviously based on question 3, we see that Cassie does do something about Lily and Jean, which is why I want you to base number 1 on the beginning of the chapter before she gets her revenge. Okay? And then question 4, do you believe that it is TJ's fault that Mama got fired? We just gave away a big thing. There's a lot of events that happen that go along with this particular event, and you need to explain your belief here. Or do you believe TJ's claim? So TJ does not believe that it's his fault that she got fired, and he says he had nothing to do with it. Explain your answer, whether it's his fault or not. Make sure that you're clear. Use text details as well. All right, so this is the part that's new. You need to scroll down to the next page. We have a part 2 that is not like what we've done before. We are going to have another quick write, which is a paragraph. And instead of 2 text details, like in an ACE answer, I'm asking for 3 text details. And you have to make sure that you remember to also include your conclusion sentence along with that. Don't forget about transition words, etc. So to help you be thinking about it, I want you to fill in the chart, and I want to encourage you to use quotes. So we can see this chart similar to what we had done last year when we read The Giver, where you're going to pull a quote, the exact words from the novel. Make sure you put quotations around it. So in this box, these are exact words. Make sure you mark the page number that that quote came from. And then over here, I want you to give your explanation of that quote, what it means, etc. Now, you don't know your quick write question just yet in this video. I'll probably go over that with you in class. So perhaps as we're doing it, you'll understand it a little bit better. So in this column here, I'm telling you what those quotes should be about. Something to help you from this particular chapter to help you with your quick write. However, when you do write your quick write, you can use details from, I believe there's 3 chapters altogether. So you might even go back further. But this is helping to get you thinking about it. First, I want you to include an event that occurred in the classroom which led to Mama getting fired. So this is a big event in this chapter. Mama's going to lose her job. What happened in the classroom that's going to cause that? Give some kind of a quote and explain how that led to her getting caught. There's 2 different events that occur in the classroom. I want you to pick one of them to put here and explain why that would lead to her losing her job. This next box, an action that TJ took that led to the Board of Education getting involved at the school. So we kind of, this is a little bit of a hint here, but what's something that he did? Fill in a quote, the page number, and make sure you explain why TJ's action would lead to the Board of Education coming to the school. And a third one, what Mama tells the family about why she got fired. And really what I'm hinting towards here is the conversation that she has with Papa. She does talk to the children first. You could take something from there, but then she talks to Papa and Big Ma, and there's a bigger hint there as to why she believes she really got fired. All right, so once we see our quick write, that'll make a little bit more sense, but at least you'll be able to pull 3 quotes specifically from this chapter that will help you with your quick write. So at this point, I am going to start reading the chapter, and once again, you have a choice. Do you want to read it on your own? You're sick of listening to me, and you're like, I read faster than when she's going, or you don't like hearing me talk about it, whatever it might be. Otherwise, if you want to listen to the videos, listen to me read the chapter and stop and kind of explain some things, I'll be here for you. All right, so if you're still here, we're on page 171. Ms. Lillian Jean, would you wait up a minute, please? Cassie, you cracked, cried Stacy. Cassie, where are you? Get back here, Cassie. So we're already getting into question 1. Cassie very politely is asking for Lillian Jean, the girl that her father pushed her down into the street. Can you wait for me? Stacy's words faded into the gray stillness of the January morning as I turned deaf ears to him and hurried after Lillian Jean. Thanks for waiting up, I said when I caught up with her. She stared down at me irritably. What you want? Well, I said, walking beside her, I've been thinking about what happened in Strawberry back last month. Yeah, commented Lillian Jean suspiciously. Well, to tell you the truth, I was real upset for a while there, but my papa told me it don't do no good sitting around being mad. Then I seen how things was. I mean, I should have seen it all along. After all, I'm who I am and you're who you are. Does that sound like Cassie? Lillian Jean looked at me with astonishment that I could see the matter so clearly. Well, I'm glad you finally learned the way of things. Oh, I did, I piped readily. The way I see it, here, let me take them books for you, Ms. Lillian Jean. The way I see it, we all got to do what we got to do. And that's what I'm going to do from now on. Just what I gotta. She's offering to carry her books. So question 1, how's she treating her? Really nice, right? Why do you think she's doing it? Good for you, Cassie, replied Lillian Jean enthusiastically. God will bless you for it. You think so? Why, of course, she exclaimed. God wants all his children to do what's right. I'm glad you think so, Ms. Lillian Jean. When we reached the crossroads, I waved goodbye to Lillian Jean and waited for the others. Before they reached me, little man exclaimed, Oh, I'm going to tell Mama, carrying that old dumb Lillian Jean's books. Cassie, what'd you do that for? Questioned Christopher John, his round face pained. Ah, shoot, laughed TJ. Oh, Cassie just learning she better do what's good for her if she don't want no more Mr. Sims backhand. I clenched my fists behind me and narrowed my eyes in the Logan gaze, but managed to hold my tongue. Stacy stared at me strangely, then turned and said, "We'd better get on to school." As I followed, Jeremy touched my arm timidly. "Cassie, you didn't have to do that. That old Lillian Jean, she ain't worth it." I stared at Jeremy, trying to understand him, but he shied away from me and ran down the road after his sister. "I'm going to whip you good, too," said prideful little man, still fuming as we approached the school, "because I'm going to sure tell it." "No, you ain't," said Stacy. There was a shocked silence as all heads turned to him. "This here thing's between Cassie and Lillian Jean, and ain't nobody telling nobody nothing about this." He stared directly at TJ, caught his eye, and repeated, "Nobody." "Aw, man," cried TJ, "it ain't none of my business." Then, after a moment's silence, he added, "I got too many worries of my own to worry about Cassie, Uncle Tom, and Lillian Jean." My temper almost flew out of my mouth, but I pressed my lips tightly together, forcing it to stay inside. "Them final examinations coming up in 2 weeks, man, and ain't no way I can afford to fail them things again," TJ continued. Why am I pausing? What's one of our questions, right? What might hint towards the fact he's going to get caught? What did he just tell us? Can't afford to fail them things again. "Then you won't," said Stacy. "Shoot, that's what I thought last year, but your mama makes up the hardest examination she know how." He paused, sighed, and ventured, "Bet though if you kind of asked her about what kind of questions." "TJ, don't you come talking to me about no more cheating," cried Stacy angrily. "After all that trouble I got in the last time counting you got questions, you ask mama yourself. But you say one more word to me about them tests, I'm gonna..." All right, TJ smiled in feigned apology. Feigned is like pretend. "It's just that I'm gonna have to figure out something." I'm just gonna have to figure out something. "I got a solution," I said, unable to resist just one bit of friendly advice. "What's that?" "Try studying." After Uncle Hammer left on New Year's Day, Papa and I had gone into the forest, down the cow path, into the misty hollow where the trees lay fallen. For a while, we stood looking again at the destruction. Then, sitting on one of our fallen friends, we talked in quiet, respectful tones, observing the soft morning of the forest. When I had explained the whole strawberry business to Papa, he said slowly, "You know, the Bible says you're supposed to forgive these things." "Yes, sir," I agreed, waiting. "Supposed to turn the other cheek." "Yes, sir." Papa rubbed his mustache and looked up at the trees, standing like sentinels on the edge of the hollow, listening. "But the way I see it, the Bible didn't mean for you to be no fool. Now, one day, maybe I can forgive John Anderson for what he done to these trees, but I ain't gonna forget it. I figure forgiving is not letting something nag at you, rotting you out. Now, if I hadn't done what I done, then I couldn't have forgiven myself, and that's the truth of it." I nodded gravely, and he looked down at me. "You're a lot like me, Cassie girl, but you got yourself a bad temper like your Uncle Hammer. That temper can get you in trouble." "Yes, sir. Now, this thing between you and Lillian Jean, most folks would think you should go around doing what she tell you. And maybe you should." "Papa!" "Cassie, there'll be a whole lot of things you ain't gonna want to do, but you'll have to do in this life just so you can survive. Now, I don't like the idea of what Charlie Sims did to you no more than your Uncle Hammer. But I had to weigh the hurt of what happened to you to what could have happened if I went after him. If I'd have gone after Charlie Sims and given him a good thrashing like I felt like doing, and the hurt to all of us would have been a whole lot more than the hurt you received. So I let it be. I don't like letting it be, but I can live with that decision. But there are other things, Cassie, that if I'd let be, they'd eat away at me and destroy me in the end. And it's the same with you, baby. There are things you can't back down on, things you got to take a stand on, but it's up to you to decide what them things are. You have to demand respect in this world. Ain't nobody gonna hand it to you. How you carry yourself, what you stand for, that's how you gain respect. But, little one, ain't nobody's respect worth more than your own. You understand that? Yes, sir. Now, there ain't no sense in going around being mad. You clear your head so you can think sensibly. Then I want you to think real hard on whether or not Lillian Jean's worth taking a stand about. But keep in mind that Lillian Jean probably won't be the last white person to treat you this way. He turned toward me so that he looked me full in the face, and the seriousness of his eyes startled me. He held my chin up with the wide flat of his hard hand. This here is an important decision, Cassie. Very important. I want you to understand that. But I think you can handle it. Now you listen to me and you listen good. This thing, if you make the wrong decision and Charlie Sims gets involved, then I get involved and there'll be trouble. The big trouble? I whispered. Like the trees? Don't know, said Papa, but it could be bad. I pondered his words. Then I promised, Mr. Sims ain't never gonna hear about it, Papa. Papa studied me. I'll count on that, Cassie girl. I'll count real hard on that. For the month of January, I was Lillian Jean's slave, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. She even took to waiting for me in the morning with Jeremy so that I could carry her books. When friends of hers walked with us, she bragged about her little colored friend and almost hugged herself with pleasure when I called her Ms. Lillian Jean. When we were alone, she confided her secrets to me. The boy she had passionately loved for the past year and the things she had done to attract his attention, with no success, I might add. The secrets of the girls she couldn't stand as well as those she could, and even a tidbit or two about her elder brother's romantic adventures. All I had to do was prime the gossip pump, was smile nicely and whisper a Ms. Lillian Jean every now and then. I almost hated to see the source dry up. At the end of examination day, I shot out of Miss Crocker's class and hurried into the yard. I was eager to get to the crossroads to meet Lillian Jean. I'd promised myself to first take care of the examinations and then... Little man, Claude, Christopher John, come on, y'all, I cried. There's Stacy. The four of us dashed across the yard, trailing Stacy and TJ to the road. When we caught up with them, it was obvious that the jovial mask TJ always wore had been stripped away. She did it on purpose, TJ accused, a nasty scowl twisting his face. Man, you was cheating, Stacy pointed out. What you expect for her to do? She could have given me a break. Weren't nothing but a couple bits of old paper. Didn't need 'em no how. Well, what'd you have 'em for? Aw, man, leave me be. All y'all Logans think y'all so doggone much with y'all's new coats and books and shiny new Packards. He swirled around, glaring down at Christopher John, little man, and me. I'm sick of all y'all. Your mama and your papa, too. Then he turned and fled angrily up the road. TJ, hey man, where are you going? Stacy yelled after him. TJ did not answer. The road swelled into a small hill and he disappeared on the other side of it. When we reached the crossroads and saw no sign of him on the southern road leading home, Stacy asked Claude, where'd he go? Claude looked shamefaced and rubbed one badly worn shoe against the other. Down to that old store, I reckon. Stacy sighed. Come on then, we better get on home. He'll be all right by tomorrow. Y'all go on, I said. I gotta wait for Lillian Jean. Cassie, I'll catch up with you, I said before Stacy could lecture me. Here, take my books, will you? He looked at me as if he should say something else, but decided not to. He pushed the younger boys on and followed them. When Lily and Jean appeared, I sighed thankfully that only Jeremy was with her. It could be today for sure. Jeremy, who seemed to be as disappointed in me as Little Man, hurried on to catch Stacy. That was fine too. I knew he would. I took Lily and Jean's books, and as we sauntered down the road, I only half listened to her. I was sweeping the road, looking for the deep wooded trail I had selected earlier in the week. When I saw it, I interrupted Lily and Jean apologetically. Excuse me, Ms. Lily and Jean, but I got a real nice surprise for you. Found it just the other day down in the woods. For me? Questioned Lily and Jean. Oh, it is a sweet thing, Cassie. Where you say it is? Come on, I'll show you. I stepped into the dry gully and scrambled onto the bank. Lily and Jean hung back. It's all right, I assured her. It ain't far. You just got to see it, Ms. Lily and Jean. That did it. Grinning like a Cheshire cat, she crossed the gully and hopped onto the bank. Following me up the overgrown trail into the deep forest, she asked, You sure this is the way, little Cassie? Just a bit further. Up ahead there. Ah, here it is. We entered a small, dark clearing with hanging forest vines totally hidden from the road. Well, where's the surprise? Right here, I said, smashing Lily and Jean's books to the ground. Why, what'd you do that for? Lily and Jean asked, more startled than angry. I got tired of carrying them, I said. This what you brought me all the way down here for? Well, you just best get untired and pick them up again. Then, expecting that her will would be done with no more than that from her, she turned to leave the glade. Make me, I said quietly. What? The shock on her face was almost comical. Said, make me. Her face paled. Then, red with anger, she stepped daintily across the clearing and struck me hard across the face. For the record, she had hit me first. I didn't plan on hitting me again. I flailed into her, tackling her with such force that we both fell. After the first shock of my actually laying hands on her, she fought as best she could, but she was no match for me. I was calm and knew just where to strike. I punched her in the stomach and buttocks and twisted her hair, but not once did I touch her face. She, expending her energy in angry, nasty name-calling, clawed at mine, managing to scratch twice. She tried to pull my hair, but couldn't, for I had purposely asked Big Ma to braid it in flat braids against my head. When I had pinned Lily and Jean securely beneath me, I yanked unmercifully on her long, loose hair and demanded an apology for all the names she had called me and for the incident in Strawberry. At first, she tried to be cute. Ain't gonna apologize to no nigger, she sassed. You want to be bald, girl? And she apologized for herself and for her father, for her brothers and her mother, for Strawberry in Mississippi. And by the time I finished jerking at her head, I think she would have apologized for the world being round had I demanded it. But when I let her go and she had sped safely to the other side of the clearing with the trail in front of her, she threatened to tell her father. You do that, Lily and Jean. You just do that, and I'm going to make sure all your fancy friends know how you keeps a secret. Bet you won't be learning no more secrets after that. Cassie, you wouldn't do that, not after I trusted you. You mutter one word of this to anybody, Lily and Jean, I said, attempting to narrow my eyes like Papa's. Just one person and everybody at Jefferson Davis is going to know who you crazy about and all your other business. And you know I know. Besides, if anybody ever did find out about this fight, you'd be laughed clear up to Jackson. You here going on 13, getting beat up by a 9-year-old? I was starting up the trail, feeling good about myself, when Lily and Jean asked, bewildered, but Cassie, why? You were such a nice little girl. I stared at her in astonishment. Then I turned and left the forest, not wanting to believe that Lily and Jean didn't even realize it had all been just a game. Do I have good timing? I was going to stop at that break and the timer just went off. So that was where I was going to break for today. If you choose to join me for reading the rest of the chapter, that would be great. If not, enjoy finishing the chapter and make sure that you complete all of the questions on that answer sheet. Fill in your quotes. We did just finish that third question about Cassie's revenge and how she's keeping Lily and Jean quiet. Hopefully you figured that out, right? What did she just do to Lily and Jean? And if Lily and Jean tells, so will Cassie. All right, have a great day.